Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is George Kingori. I'm your online finance guy who speaks about all things finance. How can you be able to save, invest and grow in your finances. And today I'm going to give you 15 frugal tips that you could be able to use to be able to cut down your expenses and free up more money to go towards your investment. So the first frugal tip is to pay cash. Yes, pay cash as much as possible. Pay cash so that you can be able to have the feeling of your actual spending. Paying with card alleviates or removes the feeling that you are actually paying and something is actually costing you money. And when you pay in cash and count the notes and count the coins, you realize that you are actually spending, and it could be able to help you to psychologically to be able to cut down on some of these expenses. So pay in cash as much as possible and not direct via a bank card, a Visa card or the MasterCard. Then the other thing is to cancel subscriptions. I've realized many people have subscriptions of things they do not actually use, and sometimes paying as you go may actually be cheaper than paying for subscriptions. Maybe you have many subscriptions as regards to paid television, and sometimes you only use such subscriptions maybe once a week when you are seeing a movie or when you are doing other things that may not necessitate you to have 3 paid subscriptions. So you could just have one or none at all if actually you can be able to entertain yourself efficiently, maybe through free means like YouTube and other means. So cancel some of those subscriptions that are actually eating your money on a monthly basis without actually using those expenses. Of course, the other one is to use generic brands. Yes, use generic brands. You do not have to buy brands, and remember, they usually are marked up price for any brands that you buy. So if it is a shoe, if you buy an Adidas shoe, it might be more pricey than a generic model of a brand that is not actually known. So do not go for brands, because brands charge you an extra amount based on the brand equity that they enjoy. So pay for the generic brands that could be as much as 50% or even 70% cheaper, as opposed to the known brands that people like to flaunt. Again, some of these labels are not there so that you can be able to get any additional or incremental value from using this product, but are more for show, to show that you are actually wearing and having a certain brand. Of course, the other thing is to invest your money. If you have a salary increase, put it away as much as possible to go towards the things that are not expenses but are more of investments, are more of plans that are going to generate you further additional income. Yes, every time you have an addition, do not start enjoying it yet, but you could frugally take that amount away as soon as it comes, and that'll increase your allocation towards investments and savings, and not let it lay around, because the more money you have in your basket that is unallocated, the more you are likely to overspend or spend it on things that are actually unnecessary. So that is a frugal tip. Anytime you have an increase, or you have a bonus, or you have an increase in money in whatever way or form, put it away in investments and savings. Of course, the other thing is to cook food at home and take to work. As I was working in Kenya, I realized that I could spend as much as 200 shillings and as little as 50 shillings and as high as sometimes 500 shillings, which is around 50 cents dollars to around $5 on food every single day at the workplace during lunchtime. However, carrying food, be able to cut down on these expenses, because remember, food that you eat out there is sometimes charged a significant higher amount, and you could be able to cut down on your spending on food, especially lunch food for the employed people, by more than 70% by carrying food to the office. I know sometimes it is inconvenient for us men to be able to do that, but by and large, you could be able to cut down on your food expenses significantly, because at one time I calculated the amount of money that I spend on food, and it was coming to around 4,500 shillings that I was spending on just lunch food by myself, which was around 40% of our total family food bill from shopping. So you can see the major impact just on eating food, buying food while working at the office. So cook food at home and carry to your workplace. It will cut your expenses significantly. Of course, the other thing is to shop weekly. Get into a habit of doing a big shopping that will be able to use either a whole month for certain non-perishable items, or 2 weeks or 1 week. So ensure that you cut down on going to shopping every single day, because remember, the more you go to shopping, the more you are likely to do impulse purchases on items that are either on offer, on items that are new and upcoming, and on things that you may actually not need. And remember, the more time you spend walking around and looking at things, the more you are tempted to buy these things. So reducing your impulse buying is directly correlated to the number of times you go for shopping. So once a week on the minimum, and sometimes even once a month when you can. So shop as less as often. Of course, the other thing is no window shopping or online perusal. Why are you tempting yourself by looking at new clothes offers online, by looking at your Amazon online new offers and new items that are coming up, by looking at the mails that come to your email showing you the new products that are actually in the market? Why are you tempting yourself by having to look at these things? Because remember, the more you tempt yourself, the more you are likely to actually go on and spend this money. Especially you ladies, you end up looking at shopping items such as bags and shoes, and even if you're not buying, you are in the next step to buying this item because you have pictured it and you are just waiting to actualize it by actually buying these items. Remember, some of these online traders and online shopping have the ability to be able to get your personal browsing data, and will always be sending you and bombarding you with all these advertisements and all these offers that are continuously going to interrupt your financial mind, which is set on investing and saving as much as possible, and end up buying these items. I have spoken to several people who have an addiction to buying bags and buying shoes, especially ladies, and when you go back and listen to them, you realize some of them do a lot of online perusal that actually impacts and affects their spending. So avoid online perusal and just window shopping. Of course, the other thing is to avoid credit card debt. Why am I saying avoid credit card debt in such a video about frugality? This is both because credit card debt anywhere around the world has the highest amount of taxes, and if you want to cut down on the interest charges that you are going to pay, then you might as well do away with credit cards. Just spend what you actually have, because remember, credit cards extend your purchasing power beyond what you have as money in your bank. A debit card is different. A debit card only uses what you have in your bank account, but a credit card extends the amount of money that you have access to, and you could go towards buying things that you do not actually need. So avoid credit cards as much as possible, because then you could not have access to much more money, and again, when you have incurred this cost through a credit card, you do not fall prey to pay more in interest charges for the amounts that you have actually purchased. The other thing is to do meal preps. Yes, you have done your big shopping that we discussed about every week or every month or every so less often. When you want to cut down on the need to go out and eat, or the need to order in food to come in, on the need to go for fast food, and on the need to eat easy meals, you can be able to cut down on these costs of the ordering and the going on restaurants and things like that by actually doing meal preps. If it is cereal products like beans and green grams, you could be able to boil in bulk, separate them in eatable meal pieces for a single meal, separate them, and all these things, especially the dry cereals, you could be able to separate them in that way. If it is fresh vegetables, you'll be able to cut and portion them out in portions that will be able to help you on reducing on the meal preparation times during the week when you may feel tired and feel the need to order in food. And once you have squared it out to a science and know what you're going to eat on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and prepare it beforehand as much as possible, then you could be able to cut down your time that is spent that may trigger you to buy in or order in or go to a restaurant, as opposed to eating and cooking by yourself, which will cut you down on costs. And because you are cutting down on time, you not feel the need to do the ordering or the restaurant sitting. So you could be able to square it as per meal and prepare all these things for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe do your meal prep on Sundays for the following week. Meal prep will be able to cut down your costs, because you could be able to cut down your time for cooking by up to 50%. So meal prep is one important way of being able to cut down on your spending. Of course, the other thing is get pleasure out of purchasing. You need to get the pleasure out of purchasing. Do not buy so that you can be able to feel a high. Buy because you need. Get the pleasure out of purchasing. Purchase out of need, not out of the feeling of happiness that you get once you buy an item. This will be able to remove any feelings from actual purchase. When you're too excited, you overspend. When you're too depressed and sad, you underspend, and you end up not buying what you actually need. So remove and debunk emotions from spending. Remove all these feelings away from spending money. Of course, the other item is tone down on the spending on partying and social events. Social events and partying is one way that people, especially Kenyans, spend a lot of money on enjoyment and entertaining when you have friends around or when you go to these parties. Why? Because if it is a lady, for example, you might want to attend a party and you might find there's a theme that you had to follow, and for you to go to that party, you may end up buying new shoes, new clothes, you may end up doing a new hairstyle, you may end up spending a little bit more time, you may end up buying a gift, and most of these parties and events make you end up spending a lot more money. So this investment journey is sometimes a lonely journey, because you have to cut down on all these social events and social things that make you spend more money because of a single event. Sometimes I have met people who have bought outfits that they only used for that event, and it is left in their wardrobes and they do not use it anymore. When they do their audit, the financial audit, as I take them through the personal finance process, they realize there are so many things that they have related to parties and events that they spend a lot of money and do not actually use. So ensure that you cut down on this unnecessary partying and events as regards to friends, because you might spend more time. Of course, the other thing is to tone down on gadgets. Why do you have to buy a phone every single year just because you want to upgrade? Why would you want to change your car every 3 years because you want to upgrade? Change because you need to change because something has become financially unviable to continuously maintain, change because you are looking for a new practical function that this one does not have and you actually need, not you actually want. It has been noted that 80% of the people who have SUVs, sports utility vehicles, 4x4 vehicles, actually use these cars only 10% of the time for the off-road activities. So they actually do not need these cars. They want these cars, and some actually have them more for the feel of having a big car and the feeling of looking like you're up on top of every other person on the road, as opposed to the actual functionality. So if you're a frugal person, you would not buy a 4x4 unless you actually needed to go to the farm, you actually needed to do off-road excursions on a regular basis, and you can be able to justify all these costs. So again, buy gadgets and items out of need and tone down on gadget buying just to have something new. So frugal tips that could be able to help you. The other thing is, as regards to the car, love your car less. Majority of people who have cars, especially you men, have the habit of overspending on the car. You look at the car, you find a small scratch, you want to paint the whole car. You look at the car, it looks a little bit dirty and dusty, you want to wash the car. every 2 days. You look at the car, you realize that maybe the carpets are dirty and you want to wash the whole interior. You spend so much time and so much money on your car. Love your car a little bit less and spend a lot less money. The only thing that I will not encourage you to not love your car is as regards to service and maintenance that has been scheduled. Yes, scheduled. Not unnecessary spending on maintenance, but only on the scheduled maintenance. And when your car is running a little bit less efficient and has creaking noises that could be able to indicate a fault or a dysfunction in an item. But otherwise, all these additional car expenses that you're incurring, especially for the first-time car buyers, are actually unnecessary and could be able to increase your expenses significantly. Of course, the other thing is avoid bottled water. The most overpriced item on this earth is bottled water. The most profitable item that anyone can be able to invest in is bottled water. Actually, most bottled water companies make margins of more than 100%. Yes, you use maybe 10 shillings or 10 cents dollars to be able to process 500 milliliters of water, the typical bottle of water that you might be able to sell, and you sell the same amount of water to as high as 35 shillings or 35 cents dollars for the same bottle of water. So your cost is 10 and you're selling at 35, more than 200% profit on the same bottle of water. Do not purchase bottled water, because actually some of these manufacturers just bottle the normal tap water that you have in your house and put a label on it. So ensure that you just use the normal water that is coming to your house. If it is tapped, let it come to your house and use it as it is. If you feel the need to be able to do something additional, you could buy some things that could be able to disinfect the water further. You could be able to buy gadgets that could be able to help with electrolysis and other things to purify this water, but you should keep away from buying bottled water. Some of them are so paranoid that they use bottled water to wash utensils. Please, if you need to cut down on costs, reduce on the bottled water that you are using. Such water, such as rainwater, is actually good water in most places, unless you are living in a neighborhood that has a lot of industrial parks that release a lot of industrial smoke. Then if you live in other places, then you should be able to harvest rainwater and use rainwater. And it has been used, and it is always continuously being used in most places in Kenya and around the world. So there's so much available free water that could be able to use, and much cheaper water, cancelled water, that can be able to use, that is okay to actually use. Bottled water is one way that you are going into financial debts. Of course, the other thing is to stop comparing yourself. Yes, that is a frugal tip that could be able to stop comparing yourself with others. Stop looking at others and wanting to keep up with them. Stop following other people. You could be looking at your neighbor's lawn and admiring because it is looking green, but it could be cosmetic. So ensure that you do your financial things without looking at others and how they are doing and comparing yourself to your present circumstances, because you might find yourself spending on items you do not need, but so that you can keep up with others. So those are my 15 tips that could be able to help you cut down on your spending. So 15 frugal tips that could be able to use to help you cut down on your expenses significantly. If you are learning, you are growing, remember to subscribe to the channel, to leave a comment down below, and to like this video. Thank you and enjoy your